Good evening, baseball fans. It is Friday, January 5th, and this is an emergency recording of Bourbon and Baseball because we had news that had to do with the Astros today. So I'm Suzy, that is Tom, and Tom, why don't you tell the people why we have to have this emergency podcast recording? What
It's
news
a
broke?
sad day for Astros fans because one of our beloved Stros has decided to hang him up. He has decided after 15 glorious years, he is done playing baseball, and that is our favorite uncle, Uncle Michael Brantley, has decided to retire. It is a sad day. While I didn't think he was going to be a Stro, I thought maybe he'd keep playing. The fact that, this is the end, it just makes that loss last season that much more painful because you would like to send him off the right way. Ultimate professional, Dr. Smooth, Uncle Mike, we will miss you.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad. Now, if you are new to the podcast or if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, I became a baseball fan in 2018. Okay. 2019 was the first time that I really kind of like understood, quote unquote, the game, right? So I mean 2018, like I was learning the game, I was watching all the games. 2019, that play, the literal iconic Uncle Mike double play really solidified that I knew what was going on, and B, just solidified like my love of the game and the electric, oh my God, did that just happen excitement. And I think at that very moment, it just drove home all of the, oh my God, this is the best game in the entire world. What actually happened? I was so excited, guys, or I was so sad that I forgot to give you guys a warning. I'm very sorry about that. This is Radar podcast, okay? Radar. There will be F-bombs. There will be F-bombs, lots of cussing. Maybe not so much adult humor in this one, but you never know. I have the mind of a 12-year-old, so it doesn't really matter. So, but just know if there's tiny ears around and or cuss words are not your jam, it's probably not the podcast for you. So, with that said, I'm fucking sad. I'm so fucking sad. Like when I read the thing, it came up that Uncle Mike was retiring. It made me sad because this is the first guy since I have really watched baseball and loved baseball that will no longer be a baseball player. And I'm like, what? I mean, and the fact that, he's always been a little bit older. I say that like I'm 41. Uncle Mike is just way over the hill for a baseball player. Like he's 36. And I cannot believe that he won't be on a team next season. Like I was really kind of hoping that I would see him somewhere. But I don't know. Like apparently Uncle Jim is, in talks with Uncle Mike to maybe, hopefully, bring him back as some sort of like hitting coach, special advisor or something down, maybe during spring training. And what better guy to do that with? Because the stats that this man ends up with is just abso-fucking-lutely ridiculous. And we're not gonna have the argument of does Uncle Mike belong in the Hall of Fame like that. We're not gonna have that argument right now. Like this episode in and of itself is to commemorate and like have all of the happiness for Uncle Mike. I reading that Chandler Rome article. Did you read that Chandler Rome article? I was not aware that he had 4 shoulder surgeries. Like, is your shoulder just shredded meat? Like, what is happening with the I didn't know. I wasn't aware of that fact. And then, so 2019 was the first year that Uncle Mike was with the Astros, right? Or was it 2018?
I think it was 20. It was 5 seasons, so maybe
This is not a math pod,
yeah,
Tom,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm not that Asian. Come on now.
So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. 2018, 19, something like
Okay.
that. Yeah, I think maybe.
Well, regardless, when he re-signed in 21, after like this scandal, the cheating scandal had happened and all of that, and like, oh, the Astros, blah blah blah, they're pariahs, and then Uncle Mike's like, Blue Jay, I'm not gonna be Blue Jay. Fuck y'all. I'm gonna be an Astro. What? Okay, hooray! And so the fact that like so many superstars of the game right now basically credit Uncle Mike for like teaching them how to be a big leaguer. I mean, you have Francisco Lindor, George Springer, our king, Kyle Tucker, like, and they're all like crediting Uncle Mike, and I'm so sad that he's ready to be a dad. Like, but I'm very sad. Like I literally, like, I read it on the Twitter timeline, and I'm tearing up now because I'm a big baby apparently. Don't have kids, guys. Like, it totally fucks with your emotions and turns you into a big baby. But I literally, I teared up and I was like, what is going on? And you may actually have to put me in like a padded room when Jim Crane does not sign Kyle Tucker and I have to watch Kyle Tucker on like a different team. Like I will be in mourning. I'll be in mourning.
You will be in mourning the day Tuve retires. That'll be the day.
That will be the day. Well, but that's the thing. Like, I'm having this reaction for Uncle Mike, whom I love, but like I don't love. Like, at no point in time was I ever like, oh yeah, Uncle Mike is my favorite player. And even, I mean, I love Altuve. Don't get me wrong. Like, but I probably will cry like actual tears when Altuve retires. And that's like, this is not a reflection on anybody else. Like, this is a reflection on me. And like, if you knew me before I had kids, I was a stone-hearted bitch. Like, literally dogs made me cry. Okay. Like, animals getting hurt in movies. That's the only thing that made me cry. Like, people don't care. The fact that this baseball player that I have never met in my entire life has no bearing in my actual real life is retiring from a sport that has no me. I'm like, that's just dumb. Like, I'm dumb.
No. You're not dumb. You're not dumb. This is not new. I just think that this is like your first baseball player that you kind of like grew up with, in the game, so to speak. I mean, as kids, we all had those players that hung it up when we were kids. And you're just like, no, you can't quit. No. And we felt the way you feel. For you, this your baseball journey just started not too long ago. So this is that first real feel for that. Most of us have that when we're way smaller and it's a little less, I guess dramatic.
Emotional.
I don't. Yeah. It's kind of like, it's a kid. Like as kids you get there, and then as you get older, more guys retire. You're just like, okay, it's part of the game. It happens. You know what I mean? But you still have that ache, but it's not the same.
Well, so when Carlos left the team, there were these reactions. Like, people loved. Don't get me wrong, I liked Correa, but I was like, okay, deuces, Correa, like Jeremy Pena, come on up. I had, there was none of this. It caught me by surprise. It literally caught me by surprise that I teared up when I read that Uncle Mike was retiring. And it's not like a shock. It didn't come as a surprise. I mean, he had, how many games did he end up playing last season? Like 22? No.
I thought it was like 27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and for this guy to have such a long career, like to go out like that, like, a little part of him is disappointed, right?
I think also, though, you have to think about what it took for him to get back. Yeah. Like, he had to do so much, like, to get back. And I got to believe that the grind that it took, and then thinking about the potential of another injury, it probably was probably was just too much. He was like, look, I can't do this again. Like
Right.
better to end it here than to go to another club, start a new clubhouse. I mean, I don't know if you follow all the other, or not you, I know you do, but everyone watching or listening followed all the Instagrams. But I mean, they just went nuts from Jordan
Yep.
to Tuck to Braggs. I mean, the support was there from all his guys. He was just so well loved and well respected. So, I mean, I don't know if he wanted to start over that way. This was just the perfect time. Look, I've had a good run. And I mean, credit to Jim Crane for bringing him back, because there was a lot of people that were skeptical about that contract. He was
Hmm.
coming off an injury then. He wasn't going to be ready to go when the season started. I mean, Jim didn't pay for the player that he was. He paid for the representative that he was, the
Yep.
ambassador that he was, and what he was in that clubhouse. And not a lot of owners will do that. They'll be like, look, it's a
Yeah.
bottom line business. No, he truly took care of, I think, Uncle Mike, because of what Uncle Mike had done. And he truly took care of, I think the clubhouse, because I think they wanted him.
Yeah. Well, and I dare say, if not for Uncle Mike, I don't think we would have had our World Series win. I mean, we got our asses handed to us. Like I say they, like, everybody remembered. Like the Phillies just teed off on Lance McCullers, and I'm not gonna lie, that it felt real shitty. It felt real shitty, and Uncle Mike wasn't even in the lineup then, but he was sure shit was in the clubhouse. And after that season, it had gotten leaked that he was the one that gave that clubhouse speech, and there were bits and pieces and various teammates. I mean, when Altuve says that was the most, like, exciting, like, rousing thing, like, clubhouse speech that he's ever heard, uh, I mean, that's saying something, right? Like, I mean, granted, Jose Altuve, one team, whole career, whatever, but, like, you gotta think that at some point in 2017, I don't know, that maybe there was some sort of, like, rousing game day speech. No? Maybe? I don't know. I didn't do any of the baseballs then, so I don't know if any narrative like that came about, but
I think it was the Verlander in that game 5 when he went out and came back in, like, to the clubhouse after pitching. Um, yeah, I think that was kind of like that sort of thing. Like, I want to say he came out like, get it fucking done. He's just like pointing and like, like, this is Verlander, right? They're really stoic most of the time. All the
right.
emotion, just like letting everybody know. And yeah, I want to say that was that in 2017.
Uh, you know, we were deep in the throes of Astros Twitter. There was what we call the death squad lineup that we saw literally one time. One time last season, one time.
And it scored
But
all the
it
runs.
but it's glorious. It was a glorious experience. Um, but that's what Michael Brantley meant to this club. I will forever just be straight up iconic. Like, from, like, the changing tire, um, hand gestures to, like, him and Tuck. I just I'm gonna be so, like, is Kyle Tucker, like, crying in a corner tonight? Like, what's he gonna do without his bestie? And, like, Ryan Stanek's not gonna, like, literally, what is Kyle Tucker gonna do?
I don't know. I mean, I I hope that that's part of the why Jim Crane is so motivated to, like, keep him in the fold, right? Like, he's going to be somebody that will be sort of like a recruiter for this clubhouse if they can keep him involved with the club in some form or fashion. Guys are going to want to play in Houston to be around a guy like Uncle Mike, in my opinion. Tuck was on some podcast on that he posted on his Instagram where he's like, he's my best friend, like, on the
Yeah.
team. Like, and he's been like
Xavier Scruggs.
exactly. And he's been the ultimate mentor, showed me how to be a big leaguer, this whole thing. So I mean, I gotta believe that when Tuck is doing his things throughout the year, that'll be one of the first guy he texts, one of the first guy he calls. When he's talking his free agent thing, that'll probably be a guy in his ear too. So all of the things, I still think he's going to be a mentor to a lot of the guys on the team.
I'm still kind of in shock though. I really kind of hope that he does have, that he is in some capacity, some sort of like hitting instructor slash special assistant slash something, like, I don't know. Or hell, hire a Brantley Sr. Come on with it,
Oh
sir.
yeah. Dad's teaching him, so he's got all the skill in
Right?
the world.
I want to read the slash line from Chandler Rome's article on Michael Brantley. Brantley slash 305, 365, 463 in 394 games as an Astro. That is a dumb slash line. Like, that is just absolutely over the top ridiculous. For those that maybe are, maybe newer to the game or that aren't super aware of this fact, like, if your numbers are 345, like that, the batting average being 300, the on base percentage being 400, and then the slug being 500, that you are a badass motherfucker, as we like to say on the podcast. Okay, so the fact that Michael Brantley had a batting average of 305, obviously, we all know what a professional hitter he was. His on base was 365, and then his slug was 463. So the fact that that slash line is almost a 345 is just absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, I don't understand why left-handed swings are just prettier, but his swing and his mechanics with it is just fucking gorgeous. Like the double, like, bat tap on his shoulder, like, to get right, and then just real short, and it just instead of working today, that I should have been doing, like, did I spend 5 minutes on YouTube searching Michael Brantley highlights? I did. Sure did. Yep, absolutely. And the fact that, people other people that didn't get the joke were asking, Michael Brantley was never on the Blue Jays. Why does everyone keep saying shit about the Blue Jays? And it made me laugh even more. Oh, Lordy.
That was definitely a wild time when it was like all but certain he was going.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, at that point, like, I was ready to say goodbye, and I definitely don't think I would have had this reaction then. But I saw this ridiculous stat that I want to share with you guys. If you guys are on the audio only side, go check out the YouTubes, and you'll be able to see this graphic at 1858. No, that timestamp's going to be wrong. Don't listen to my timestamp. It's totally going to be wrong. But this that I am going to share with you right now is basically a heat map from Ryan Spader of pitches outside of the zone, quote unquote. I say that. Go look at, if you're audio only, you need to go see this ridiculous graphic. My eyes are very tired and I cannot read my tiny screen, so I'm going to pull it up on my phone. But basically it says Michael Brantley had 6,163 plate appearances during his career. He struck out looking just 210 times. I'm pausing for dramatic effect, guys. Like, you didn't lose, we didn't lose audio. I'm literally pausing for dramatic effect because 6,163 plate appearances, and he struck out looking 210 times. Again, this is not a math pod. I can't do that math in my head. But that is a ridiculously low number, guys.
Just know that some
62.
people do that in like a season and a half.
Yeah.
He did that in 15 years.
62 of which came on pitches that were out of the zone. Like a third of those? Like what? Like what? You guys need to see this graphic. It's so impressive that I may actually like put it in the show notes. So for the audio only people, you don't have to go find it on the YouTubes, because it's a ridiculous stat, and I still am mind blown about it. And I'm just so sad. I'm processing my feelings with you guys whilst recording, which is probably not the best idea and not the most professional, but you know, you get what you pay for, guys.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, these are our guys. These are our guys that, you know, we grind with year in and year out for 162 games. I mean, it's hard not to fall in love with, you know, some of these baseball heroes and then kind of mourn them when they move on to do non-baseball things, you know, like it's tough. I mean, every team goes through it. Every team has their guys, and when they lose them, you know, it just feels like you lost a member of your family. And while he's not going away, I'm sure we'll see Uncle Mike at some point in time. The fact that you just won't be able to go find him every day is not
Right.
just, it's going to be hard, you know, like
Right.
you're so used to seeing that swing. I mean, even if it wasn't going to be in an Astros jersey, you'd be like, oh, wow, there's Uncle Mike. I mean, it's just like with some of the other players that have since moved on, you know, when you think about George Springer, or when you think about Carlos to an extent, you know, you still go check in on him and be like, oh, you know, there's one of our guys, that kind of deal. But I mean, when a guy retires like this, it's kind of like it's a little sad.
Yeah. Well, so you know, I'm really trying to think back of like all of the players that have left the Astros that went on to other teams. I'm all, I did not have this like reaction with anybody. You know, like Garrett Cole, nope. You know, even when JV went and signed with the Mets in the offseason, I was like, you know, good for you, JV. Like, huzzah. But apparently Uncle Mike did it. I was like, all right, well, there you go. But, you know, it hit me real fucking hard. I mean, again, it wasn't a surprise, but there wasn't even like a whisper of, oh yeah, you know, like in the back of my head, obviously, in the back of all of our minds, like I think it was there. But for it not to be like mentioned at all, and then all of a sudden, like bam, Uncle Mike retiring. But yeah, I don't know.
See, if I had to name a player that I kind of felt that way, for me, it was Carlos, because of the way he came up, number one pick, you know, just did all the things, was, you know, that it's my time. I mean, at so many iconic moments, the Astros, and then the scandal hits and he just goes on the full frontal defensive, like he bled orange. I mean, he was such a team guy. And then, you know, from what I gathered in doing my homework, you know, he really didn't want to go. He just wanted to be paid.
Yeah.
And it was clear that management wasn't going to pay him. So like in my heart, I knew he was going to go. But when it happened, I was still like, man, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to see him in another uniform. I'm not ready to see him anywhere else. And it took me a while. I was just like, oh my gosh. And Pena, you know, got off to a hot start, so it kind of made it easier. But at the same time, you always felt like, man, that's one of our guys. Like, you know, and then even when he did the postseason thing, and you could just see him riding for the Stros, even though, you know, he's in a suit and tie, you know, I mean, you know, that for me, if there was a guy, it would be him. It would be him.
Yeah. You know, and like I said, like that, a lot of people felt that same way. Like when it happened, we were recording, not like you and I, Tom, but Shelby, my first co-host, and I, we were recording, and she felt that way, and she was like, "Are you not sad, Suzy?" And I was like, "I mean, kind of, but like I did not have all of the feelings." And she's like, "You are a monster." I'm like, "I've been called worse, but I get it. I get it. And it's, again, I'm not calling anybody else that. Like, for literally me, like, the reaction that I had to this is just silly to me. I'm like, what is the matter with you? Like, I I found myself, I was laughing at myself this afternoon in the midst of like tearing up at the sheer ridiculousness of it. And so, um, but I told my girls, I'm like, "Girls, Uncle Mike retired," and they're like, "Uncle Mike?" And they were very confused because my husband's name is Mike, and my niece calls my husband Uncle Mike, and they were just, and then my one daughter, my one twin was like, "Oh, do you mean Michael Brantley?" And I was like, "I do mean Michael Brantley." And she goes, "Like he died?" And I was like, "No, no, no, no. He did not die. He did not die. He's not gonna play baseball anymore." And she's like, "Well, what's he gonna do?" I was like, "Well, enjoy having his kids around all the time." Like, and she goes, "Well, what's his job?" I go, "Oh yeah, no, I don't. You don't know. You don't know about all the money that baseball players make, so he doesn't have to work." And she was very confused, but that's okay. So, but yeah, it kind of hit her that she was like, "Wait, so Michael Brantley's not going to be in the dugout?" I was like, "Well, I mean, probably not. Like, maybe, but probably not." She goes, "Oh, okay." She goes, "Wait, is Kyle Tucker still going to be on our team?" "Yes, for now, anyhow." And she's like, "Okay." So now, like I said, when Kyle Tucker goes, I'm going to have a very sad child on my hand. We both may have to be locked in a padded room. But if you guys feel the same way, or if you don't feel the same way, tell us in the comments who, if anybody, made you feel this way, or if you also were silly like me and shed a tear or two about Uncle Mike hanging it up. Ay. Are you watching the game this weekend, Tom? I don't know when the football game actually is. I was going to say College World Series. That's not the college pro. It's not the Pro Bowl. College.
The national
championship. There we go.
I will not watch it. I don't have a dog in that fight. Don't necessarily care. I'm more concerned with my Texans on Saturday night.
Oh, okay. Is that I don't know in the football schedules. So Texans Saturday.
The Texans play Saturday at 7. It's on ABC, ESPN, however you want to watch it. And if they win, they're in the playoffs. If they lose, they are out.
That sounds dangerously like the Astros this season.
Last game of the season, Game 7.
That's not. I don't even like football.
So tune in.
I don't even like football. I don't want that stress in my life. Like, no, thank you. When is the college game? Is college game Sunday then? Or is it Saturday during the day? Like, I don't know these things either.
I should know, but
you don't have a dog in fight. You're okay. Whatever. I was gonna say, like, go Michigan, but whatever.
It is January 8th, which
so it's
means
not even
Monday.
I'm like, it's not even this weekend. It's Monday. Not even on a day that I thought it was. It's
and I think they do that so that it gets its own, kind of like the Super Bowl. There's no other sports. It's just that.
Interesting.
It's here. It's at NRG.
Yeah. One of my friends is like the head photographer in charge.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. I was like, do you need a runner? Do you need someone to like just get you water, massage your feet? So he's like, no, well, fine, whatever. Anyways, guys, yeah. So we had to record emergency podcast, Michael Brantley. In other tiny news, I guess, Jason Kanzler, who was one of our assistant hitting coaches is no longer with the team, and he's now in charge of player development for the Cubs. So don't expect any other moves.
Did you see the reliever they picked up?
Oh, from the White Sox?
Mm-hmm.
Declan Cronin?
Yes, the wrong DC.
Is there a right DC?
Dylan Cease.
Oh, that that probably would be more helpful.
It was
I read. Sorry, go
like
ahead.
a funny joke on Twitter. It's like, we got the DC pitcher from the White Sox. And I think it was tags. It was like, technically you are correct. And it was like some meme, but it wasn't that DC. So yeah.
Yeah. I read on someone had a profile on him, and apparently he has like a wicked slider or something. And I
3
was
pitch
like,
mix, I believe it was.
okay,
It's, fastball, slider, splitter. And
splitter. Okay.
yeah, there was some stuff on Twitter. If I was a better co-host, I'd have it all queued up, ready to go. Where it was like Tread, he was at Tread, showcasing these pitches. Look good. Apparently, everybody's at Tread, so you should, if you're a pitcher, go there.
Well, I mean, they're literally are credited for turning Cole Reagans around. So if you can end up being the, I don't know, the quote unquote winning side of that trade, like, absolutely, everyone's like, oh, okay, you got Roldis Chapman, Rangers won, and then all of a sudden Cole Reagans started shoving for the fucking Royals, and they're like, wait a minute, Roldis Chapman is now imploding, but Cole Reagans is now throwing like 99 and just striking out the world. What happened? Tread happened. They actually have a podcast. I listened to it. It's actually pretty good.
I'll have to check that out.
So, but yeah, folks, if you guys are also trying to process this, tell us in the comments how you feel. Tom, where can they find you?
At Third Coast Tom on Twitter, not X, because we don't believe in that shit. I don't know why anybody would. What do you call it when you make something? Is it an X? No, we're tweeting. It's a bird.
It's a
It's Twitter.
zeet.
Yeah, that sounds worse. That
Mhm.
sounds worse. Not changing. I don't care what Elon says. It's the bird. Anyway,
Yeah.
there. And if you are not on Twitter, which I'm surprised if you're not. I mean, it's as bad as it is. It's where everybody goes for all their news. It's where everything breaks. I'm on the PSF app. Myself, Suzy, we did the Astros live streams for the entire season last year. It was awesome. It's the best place to be if you're not in the stadium in a sports bar. You want the comfort of your own home, want to hang out with people and talk sports. That's where you go to do it. They have all the different sports. Stros will be represented. We will be there. I'm sure of it. I did the Texans all season long. Do not have the game tomorrow, but I'll pop into the Rockets. They have it. Every team is represented. I think they even do hockey. Go check it out. Find me there. Also, Third Coast Tom.
With that, we're going to sign off, but please give us a 5-star rating. If you feel so inclined to give us less than 5 stars, please write a review and tell me why in words so that I can cuss you out. No, I'm just kidding. I won't actually cuss you out. But I would be questioning, your sanity. Because, like, of course, this is a 5-star show. No, I'm just kidding. But really, though, I am interested if you do not give us a 5-star rating. Like, why? I am interested in that. Subscribe on YouTube. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Because we are growing. We're still charting on the charts. We are still charting in Japan. Hooray, Japanese people. Thank you for listening to the show. USA. Got to get your shit in gear. But really, guys, everyone and their fucking dog is a podcaster. And so we just really appreciate that you guys have come along with us on this journey. It is almost a year and a half now that this podcast has been going. And I totally missed my 1 year anniversary because ADHD and time blindness is an actual real thing. So, but at some point, maybe we'll do some sort of hooray giveaway.
A bourbon.
Ooh, that would, that would be on brand with the show. Maybe.
And we
If you
will
don't drink
sip it with
bourbon.
you. We will pour one, give one away. Everybody sips.
That is true. We will maybe do that. I say maybe. We will do that at some point in time. Okay. And with that, we are going to end the recording and yay, baseball.